I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and let's talk for a moment right now about how do you prospect when you don't have good leads. I did write the book, A Mind for Sales, and one of the whole challenges is your leads is really dependent upon your mind for sales, but let's walk through 10 things that you can do when you feel that you do not have good leads. Number one, don't think quantity. You see, what happens many times is people think they don't have good leads because they just don't have a quantity. They don't have enough leads. I don't care what goes into the top of the pipeline. I only care about what comes out the bottom. You see, what I want to do is I want to ask myself, do I have the right leads? See, so don't go thinking quantity, think quality. Number two, your best customer. Don't overlook your current customers. I see too many salespeople, what they do is they're chasing new business. They want new business. And they fail to realize the additional business that's going to come from existing customers. This may be either additional departments, additional divisions, other people, other connections that they have. Number three, what's your POE? POE, point of entry. Let's break this down two ways. Point of entry stands for. Point of entry is, what's the opening question? What's the statement? What are you doing to engage the customer, the lead, before they're even a prospect? You see, many times what happens is people say they don't have good leads because they're choking, because they can't qualify the ones they do have. So ask yourself, am I engaging them fast enough? Am I engaging them properly? The second half of POE is, what's the product or service that you're leading with? You see, what happens many times is leads just go away because you confuse them right out of the chute, because what you have is so complex. What you want to do is you want to lead with something very simple, something simplistic, something that's easy for the customer to get into right now. Number four, old customers. Don't think for a moment that you can't go back to old customers. Now, old customers come in multiple forms. Two that I'll talk about right now is old customers that just simply walk away from you. They left you for somebody else. Or maybe they're old customers because, uh-oh, we screwed up. We did something wrong. Either way, go back to them. And you sit there and say, well, they went to somebody else. Yeah, but you know what? How do you know they're happy? Reach out to them. Two, the customers that left you because you feel you screwed up. You may feel you screwed up, but did they feel you screwed up? You see, what I want to do is this. I want to come into them and I want to really sit there and ask myself, did I screw up? No. And I won't know until I talk with them. Reach out and talk with them. Number five, old leads. You see, I hear salespeople sit there and say, well, those were leads we worked a couple years ago and they didn't work then, they won't work now. You know what? Things change. Things change. You may have blown them off back then because you didn't think they were worthwhile, but you don't know what they're worth today. Go back to them. Take a look at those old leads and see how they line up with your ICP, your ideal customer profile. You'll undoubtedly find a slice of them that you can pull back in and begin reworking. Number six, time blocking. You can't sit there and expect to prospect unless you make time to prospect. People always sit there and say, I don't have time to prospect because I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I get it. It's easy to get caught up doing this and this and this and this. And you won't do it unless you block time. Just now today, I had to block time to do prospecting. I love prospecting, but it's still easy for me to get caught up doing other things. I had to block time on my calendar that this is the time of day that I'm going to be making my outbound phone calls. I'm going to be following up on leads. I'm going to be working different projects all the way through. Number seven, referral program. What's your referral program look like? Now, I'm not saying you have to put in place a complex program that has all kinds of gift certificates and all kinds of prizes and others. No. Your referral program can be just as simple as picking up the phone and calling people who know you, calling current customers and say, hey, who do you know that might benefit from how I've helped you? Or you know what I do, who else might benefit? You see, what I find is this. It's amazing how much business is there by way of referrals. I just did a video on this a couple weeks ago. It's out on my YouTube channel. Go check it out. Number 8, create a lead magnet. One of the reasons I wrote the book, A Mind for Sales, was just that, to have a lead magnet. Now, that's a pretty complex lead magnet. I get it. And I'm not saying for you to rush out and write a book. What I'm saying is, what are you doing that's bringing people into you? You see, what's very interesting is your reputation arrives before you do. You see, when people read my book, they go, hey, they know a little bit about me. And that makes them more comfortable to call me. What's your lead magnet? It may be webinars that you're participating in. It might be conferences that you're speaking at. It might be ebooks. It might be just whatever it is. But you have to create a lead magnet. But don't become so obsessed with that. And number 9, social media. Let me put these into play. Number 9 is social media. Very, very important. But here's the whole thing. I don't want you to become so obsessed with number 8 and number 9 that you fail to do the others. You see, I put these at the end for a very simple reason. Because I see too many people, what they do is they say, well, if I just put enough blog posts out there, if I just comment on everybody's thing out there on LinkedIn and Facebook and everything else, I'll get plenty of business. No, you may get a lot of clicks and likes, but you can't take clicks and likes to the bank. But social media is very important. Just a couple hours ago, I had a conversation with a gentleman who had called me looking for some assistance. And again, he was trying to market a product. And I asked him, I said, what's your social media presence? He says, well, I'm very private. I don't have one. And sure enough, I went out to his LinkedIn profile. He had 243 connections. Give me a break. That's embarrassing. This gentleman's been in business for 30 years. I don't know how he stayed in business. Well, he stayed in business because he really got his business all by way of one other customer that went away. You see, social media is a powerful tool for you because, again, like I said with the earlier one, your reputation arrives before you do. You see, so what I want to do is I want to put posts out there. I want to comment. I want to connect with people. I want to create a presence about me. Now, my whole goal with connections is to take the online connection and turn it into the offline conversation. I just did that this morning. This morning I had a phone call with a lady who was referred to me by another connection I have, by another person who I know. And I had reached out and we just couldn't connect. So I connected with her on LinkedIn. We traded a couple posts and it led to a phone call. And out of that phone call, we've got a next step and we got potential business that's going to come out of it. You see, what I did was I took the online connection and turned it into the offline conversation. Number 10, networking. Now, I put number 10, networking, as last because networking, like social media, has a long tail. And you can get very obsessed with just networking. And you can get very caught up and be very busy but not productive. But networking does pay rewards. Because what does it do? It connects you with people. Remember that connection I shared with you about that lady who I connected with this morning on the telephone? That was because of networking I had done about 6 months ago with another person. You see, networking isn't necessarily going to fill your pipeline today, but it can feed your pipeline long term. I look at networking, I look at social media. These are like planting trees in a forest. They're not going to provide much shelter. They're not going to provide much really wind cover, wind screen, whatever you want to call it, for the first few years. But after a while, they do begin to pay out, and they pay out very well. You see, you can make it very well by not having good leads. And don't think for a moment, because here's what I'll argue. The people who sit there and say they don't have good leads are nothing but farmers. They're sales farmers. I don't want you to be a sales farmer. I want you to be a sales hunter. Sales hunter take control, and they go out and get their leads. 10 things you can be doing to drive leads. The book, A Mind for Sales. My other book, High Profit Prospecting. I suggest you pick up both of them. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Great selling.